this is the honey company, and I'm just scraping off this wax so we can sell it, extract it, and then sell it.
In this video, we will talk about how to uncap frames of honey using a capping scratcher.
The tools you'll need to uncap with, one, you'll need to take the frame out of its box, so you're going to need the standard hive tool. Capping scratcher is another way to uncap the honey. You can use the capping scratcher to uncap the entire frame if you want. The hot knife has a built-in thermostat. You plug it in and it warms it up, and that'll melt the wax. This one, you warm it up. It needs to be warm also, but you'll put it in a pan of hot water. The hot knife is difficult to keep at a consistent temperature, so I find that it's either too warm and it's burning the wax, burning the honey, or it's too cold and it's not really doing a good job. So quite often I'll just use the capping scratcher. My preferred tool for uncapping is the scratcher. The only reason that I don't use it sometimes is it's too slow. So if I have lots of honey to uncap and extract, this is an efficient way to do it. But for most people who have just one or two hives, this is no big deal. You can get it done in sufficient amount of time with just a simple capping scratcher. You don't have to go and buy a hot knife or anything more expensive. This is an uncapping tub. So this uncapping tub has a bar across here with a nail stuck through it, so I can easily secure the frame to it while I'm uncapping it. It has a queen excluder in the bottom of it, so when the caps drop into the tub, the honey can drain through the screen and into the bottom half of the tub. This is for convenience, keeping the sticky mess contained while you're uncapping. I purchased this from the Bee Supply. You could make your own if you wanted to. They could use a kitchen bowl. They could make a piece of wood that goes across a bin of some type. There's a picture of my grandfather using a galvanized trash can, new of course, unused, for an uncapping tub. Just has a piece of wood across the top of it, secured on there. So you could easily do it yourself with an uncapping tub. You don't have to buy one. They're handy and nice to have. Typically I don't use the gate on this. When I'm done and it's full and I want to drain it out, I'll just tip it up and let it run into a bottling container. So you don't have to have something this fancy. A 5-gallon bucket works fine. In fact, there's a piece of plastic that you can clamp onto the top of a 5-gallon bucket that will work as an uncapping tub. Those are easily available at Bee Supply places. So the reason that we uncap the honey is so that we can get the honey out. It's just like opening a jar. You got to take the lid off in order to get the honey out. The centrifugal force in the centrifuge isn't strong enough to overcome the cap that's on it. We need to in some way cut it off or break it open so that the honey will come out. We brought our harvested honey into the extracting house, and now we're going to uncap it. Start at the bottom so that the honey that runs out won't be running over my caps and in the way while I'm trying to remove it. So I just skim it underneath the wax cap, so most of the honey comes out in the extractor rather than later from the uncapping tub. So you want to keep your fingers away from the hot knife. Don't stab yourself with the sharp tines, the sharp points on the capping scratcher. Yeah. This doesn't take that long to uncap a frame of honey using your capping scratcher. I'll wipe it on the edge of there, cleans your scratcher up. And you don't need anything more expensive or complicated than a capping scratcher. If you had to improvise, you could even use a kitchen utensil fork. Use a fork. So if you scratch it like that, it's the quick way, but you've got lots of little small pieces of wax that'll get in your filter or your screen or your sieve. I'm either gonna save time now, scratching it all off, put it in the extractor. It'll clog up my screens when it's time to bottle it. I don't want to have to wait for the wax to settle to the top, and I don't want to have to always be cleaning the strainer. So I take my time and cut the caps off, get all the wax off that I possibly can now, so I don't have to deal with wax later. I made a way to clean off the scratcher. I just took a scrubber brush and I attached it onto a container, and then I put hot water in it. I can dip the scratcher in there and then scrape the tines clean that way. The cappings wax is the pretty yellow stuff. So if you're going to make candles or whatever you're going to use beeswax for, the capping wax will melt down and make the prettiest color, lightest color yellow beeswax. If you melt down the entire comb and it's had some brood go through it, that's where your darker, browner wax comes from. It's still all good wax, but the cappings wax makes the prettiest for candles, lip balm, and furniture polish, artist medium, dipping your black powder patches, polishing your boots.
Then we have videos about rendering beeswax from this to melted wax that we can pour into a candle. This is also a tasty treat, right?
That's good, honey. So one tip on eating beeswax, it's the same as pine sap. If you're going to have a chew of pine gum, you don't want to do it when you're in polite company, because you got to spit it out. This works best when your honey is warm. So some incentive that a beekeeper has to harvest the honey while the temperature's still in the 90s, say the end of August, is real. Because if you're trying to do this later when the temperature cools down in October, you're going to wonder why it's taking you forever, and it's just because of the temperature of the honey. It'll spin out of the extractor faster when it's warmer. It'll uncap easier when it's warmer. It'll bottle a lot easier, faster, more efficiently when the honey's warmer. If you extract the honey right straight out of the beehive, it's warm, and it'll stay warm for a while. That'll give you enough time to get it uncapped and spun out of there with heat from the beehive.
One method that some people use to extract their honey is to crush and strain their honey. They just cut the comb right out of the frame and put it in some kind of vessel like a screen, and then crush and strain it. So why do you extract instead of crush and strain?
So uncapping the honey and leaving the comb intact makes it more efficient for the bees to refill the frame. So when I uncap it, I've damaged and distorted some of the cell, but just the top part of it by uncapping it. The bees can easily repair that and then refill the comb without a lot of work. If I were to scrape it all the way down to the foundation, then the bees have to rebuild it, and that'll take more time, which could be a valuable loss of time. If there's a nectar flow on, let's say I'm out of supers, and I can collect more honey. I'm going to quickly extract some supers and then put them back on the bees before the nectar flows over. And so if I crushed and I strained it by scraping all of the comb off of the foundation, that would make a lot of work for the bees to rebuild that before they could fill up the cells with honey again. So uncapping, just taking the cap off the cell rather than the whole cell, then the bees can repair that quickly and refill it.
When is crush and strain maybe a better option for people that are starting out?
If you don't have an extractor, or if you can't borrow one, incidentally, if you're nearby the honey company, we'll lend you our extractor if you need it. So if you don't have a centrifuge or an extractor, then crush and strain may be your only option. So now we've completed uncapping both sides of the frame. Now we can set it in the extractor. Now repeat the process until the extractor is full.
Watch for our next video about extracting honey, where we will talk about different types of extractors and the process of spinning the honey out, what to do with sticky frames once you're finished, and how to run the honey through a sieve to get out the large wax particles before bottling. Thanks for watching! If you liked this video, be sure to check out our beekeeping courses at thehoneycompany.com. We're offering 6 full-length beekeeping courses for beginning, intermediate, and advanced beekeepers. See you there!